been live for a couple days now. And so with that, this time is really, we know that as you get playing in the system, you might start to have some questions. And so this is really time for you to ask any questions that you may have. So feel free to raise your hand or go ahead and put that in chat. So any questions? Jason.
Yeah, has the phone numbers issue been corrected? Wasn't there an issue with it wasn't going to work for overseas phone numbers?
Yeah, Jason, can you help clarify? Do you mean that they're not able to receive SMS? They're not able to receive text messages, or yeah, help clarify.
I thought the concern was that the new system wasn't going to accept phone numbers that weren't outside the US. Can you confirm that they accept phone numbers outside the US? Because I think the very first call you discussed that.
Yeah, hi, Jason. It will take phone numbers outside the US. You'll just need to drop the one from, sorry, I'm just checking my notes. Drop the one from the phone number at the beginning, so after the country code when there's a one, and then that would allow all of the digits to fit in the phone number.
I'm sorry, the one.
That Jason, it's actually the 0 that you drop. So like yours is 01638. You would just drop that 0. So it'd be you'd go ahead and put in the UK, and then it would be 1638 and the rest of their number.
Understood. Yeah, that's what I wanted to hear. So that's been corrected. Thank you.
Thanks, Jessica.
Hey, I just want to jump in here. I think that you're talking about in the application when folks put in their phone number. So this is something that the VS team is still looking into. They can absolutely put their phone number in, and it's helpful that they have updated contact information when they're applying. However, the system does not support texting to non-US based phone numbers, so they can't do that verification through there. So I still want it is something that the VS team is looking into, and we're also looking into, in the meantime, potentially adding some language in that space as well. Some of these things take a little bit of time to develop. So I know they're working on it, and as soon as we have an update, if that's going to change at all, we'll definitely let all of the teams know.
All right. Thank you, Morgan, for that. And great question, Jason. Okay, what other questions do we have? Yeah, Dougie. And Dougie, I think you're still on mute if you're talking.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
Okay. Here is some follow-up from my last question or questions. Now, I may be different than most of the people that are dealing with this with the RIV, in that I'm doing engagement follow-up, not dealing much anymore with intake or onboarding with the RIV in those queues. So my question goes, when a GV, general volunteer, has been lapsed, and I'm taking that, we're still doing that from the follow-up with Shelby, that all people have to have positions. And if we're sending out these engagement emails for people who are non-committal, who are non-responsive, by the time I send out that third email, if they're non-responsive and don't respond, and I made that one phone call, within that 180 days, we're still supposed to lapse them, as I'm understanding. And then once they're lapsed, sometimes they don't respond until they're lapsed. And for some reason, by lapsing them, then all of a sudden they care. And they may only care once you give them GV status again, then they go back a lot of times into not caring anymore. So once a GV is lapsed now, with the RIV launch, how do we handle that exactly if they want to return back to volunteer status? Do they have to, I'm assuming that they're going to have to go through some of the intake process again. Is that correct?
Good question. I'm going to pass that to Andy.
Yeah, hi Dougie. This is a
Hi.
great question. So as of right now, when they move to that lapsed volunteer status, that means that essentially their account is inactivated, and therefore, yes, in the current process, they would have to go through the reactivation process in order to come back to that general volunteer status. Okay, so they're basically going to reactivate. I will say that we are working on trying to make that process easier. And we want to try and build something that would allow that volunteer to kind of drive that experience themselves. We just don't have that in place yet, but that is something that we're anticipating in the next couple months, and we will gladly communicate that with you when we get to that point. So just know that for right now, it's the same process as currently, and that once they're inactivated by moving to the lap status, they have to reactivate, do some of those steps again in order to come back. But we're trying to simplify that in some way.
Okay, follow up questions more here.
Sure.
All right, in the past, now the local chapter has been able to reactivate them if they very quickly decide that they want to start volunteering again. So now with the new system and status, am I allowed, are we in the local chapter allowed to reactivate them, or do we have to write to our VSME? How do we handle that? First step.
Yeah, I see Kate's hand went up. And I know things are a little different with you with your sites. So Kate, are you jumping in to respond to that? Because I know you're involved.
Yeah. Hey, Dougie.
Hi.
You bring such great questions, man. I love it. So, and Jessica, jump in if I'm wrong and you guys are doing it differently in Europe. But what we recommend is if you need somebody reactivated because of the intricacies of the steps and our our need to make sure that VIP is on board with what we're doing and we're doing it the proper way, I would reach out and have your VSMEs reactivate just
Okay.
because these steps change a lot and, or excuse me, they change frequently because we get better seemingly every day. So
Good.
just to
That's
make
good.
sure that nothing is getting lost and your person, the background check will run through properly if it needs to, all of that. I would recommend, and Jessica and Chris, please, if you guys are doing it differently, which is totally fine, jump in. But I would recommend reaching out to your SMEs to have them do that, just in case there was a call that you weren't on, that they're like, we're doing it this way now, just because it's so integral to getting that experience back together.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jessica.
Kate's exactly correct. Yeah, Kate's exactly correct. It's the same procedure that we have now. You're just supposed to send that request to the volunteer services SME box, and then we'll go ahead and take care of that for you and let you know when it's done.
Okay, Jessica is coming your way.
I'm ready.
All right. Don't have any yet, but there will be. Okay, I think that, no. Okay, my last question here
Yeah.
is, okay, to make things easier for the volunteer, talking about the ones that don't volunteer often, say like the medical, what do you call those, patient family advisory, that might be one example. But say someone say we have an example of someone like is in Rome. They're in Rome. They don't volunteer very much. They don't have very much opportunity to volunteer much. I've sent out a second email to this one person, and then they responded, yes, I want to stay active, but I don't really have much to do. And so for right now, if we can't figure out what they can do if they're not showing too much interest, we're mostly just having them enter a 15-minute entry for account maintenance slash communications with chapter. Now, how long can we allow this to go on without them actively doing real engagement before we say, okay, enough is enough, and then we have to lapse them?
Yeah, so Dougie, I am going to see if Morgan or Kate or any of the VSMEs can help answer that one.
Yeah, so I can help answer this, but I'm going to first go to your VSMEs because this is kind of engagement best practice process set by your teams. Um, and I can give you my thoughts on it, but want to go to your team first. So I don't know if Jessica, Chris, whoever is on, would be able to answer that.
Yeah, our goal is always going to be to try to find something that fits our needs and their availability and their desire. But that communication, because you don't know when you're going to have something that meets that. So if there's absolutely nothing that you can have them help with, I think that I don't know if you're aware of MapSwipe, that's something we can talk about offline. But there's different volunteer opportunities. But if none of those work, then as long as they're engaging with you with that communication, then you can continue to put that in there. But your goal is always going to be to find a position for them to actually do something that's beneficial to both the Red Cross and them versus just the 15 minutes of communication. But you don't necessarily want to cut them off because you might be able to find something that does meet those needs, or a station request might come out where you're able to match the needs with what they're able to do.
Okay, we're on the same page there. Okay, thank you for that. And that's all I have.
All right. What other questions do folks have for regarding the launch of RIV, and how are folks feeling? Yeah, I think Susan, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, this one's more of a problem that we mentioned last time, and then we were just going to wait to see how it panned out with the go live. But our volunteer opportunities for Vicenza station, when you put in our zip code, no matter if the distance that you put, it could be 5 miles or more, but it is bringing up things that are not within that range. So we have Naples on here, and a couple of other stations that are not within that range. So I think it would be very confusing to people who are trying to sign up and are putting in their correct zip code. So I didn't know how we go about getting that fixed.
So I think the first thing is to just double check, and this would be for the VSMEs, to double check that the opportunity locations are set within that position. And then if those are set to those correct sites, then Josh, you can help me on this one. Then that would be an IT ticket if they're not pulling in as expected.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, double checking the configuration settings of the position itself, the opportunity locations that that position is tagged to, and the corresponding marketing position if you're using that, and then if it is still showing search results in error, then capturing the screen pictures of those examples to include with an IT ticket. But yeah, need to see the individual example to know what's going on.
Susan, we'll get with you with the SME team and try to have you recreate that so that we can grab those if needed.
Okay.
And also be a great time for the rest of the team to the SME us to look over and make sure that it's correlated correctly first. So,
Okay,
and
I did send out
Jessica's
an
already
email,
chiming
I
on
think it
there. She's
was,
like,
yeah.
send it to the box.
Yeah, I've sent out an email, I think it was last week, to the box with all of the one screenshot, but I didn't screenshot everything because it's a long list.
Okay.
And then a list of all the positions that are showing that should not be.
All right. And it looks like Jessica, she'll regroup with you on
Okay,
that. If
perfect.
not, we'll
Sounds
follow
great.
Josh's lead and get that IT ticket in if it needed.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
All right. Dougie.
Hey, this is not a question. I just want to thank you all for all of the hard work that you've done. I have not had any trouble navigating. It seems to be just as easy to work in the parts that I'm working in anyway. And I haven't really much seen any glitches so far. So thanks, guys. So far it's working great.
Dougie, I think I can speak for the team that that's always a good thing to hear. And, something that we did aim to do is to try and make it as user-friendly and familiar as possible. So good to hear. Any other questions? Yeah, Kate.
Not so much a question, but a comment. And just one thing that I am struggling down with is the filters on the engagement queue. And it's just like when they save and when they don't save. And I just want to super shout out to Morgan. Thank you for teaching me like, oh, this is when you want to do this, and this is when you want to do this. The thing that VS Ops, I think, had put together like a quick tip sheet, cheat sheet on, hey, if this is what you're trying to do, here are these are the filters that you want to have on, has been so helpful. But it's just the filters for me. I love it because I can do a bunch of different things. It's just going to take some getting used to for me. So super thank you for whoever thought like, let's do all these filters, because it's customizable and I really, really dig it. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. Yeah, kudos to the team for having that tip sheet to help show like what are all the different ways that these filters can really be beneficial when engaging volunteers and screening them or welcoming them into the Red Cross. Have individuals, so if we don't have any other questions, have individuals started using have you started using the engagement queue? Are you enjoying it? Is it any questions on that? Morgan.
Hey, so one, I just put in the chat, it is that document that Kate was just talking about, which is filtering the engagement queue with lots of different samples and different scenarios. I will say that the system is also new to Kate and myself, and we've been playing around a lot with what is the best filtering to do when we need to go in and find our people to add that referral, and then the best filtering to figure out, when it's best to go and approve that referral when that background check is back. So we're getting more used to the system. And we'll share our kind of ideas and best practices with the VS teams as well, to be able to kind of push those out to you all as we get into this a little bit more. I do have a question kind of for the good of the group. I know that everyone can still see intake, and you might even see, PVs listed there. You'll still see a whole list of folks. Would you guys be able to explain kind of why we do not, kind of the consequences, the reason why we should not be working with an intake anymore, and that we should be doing all these steps through the engagement queue?
Yeah, Morgan, good question. I'm going to go to, I think, Kim or Andy to see if you guys want to help answer this one for the team.
I can start it, and then Andy, if you have anything you want to add, you can. So, I mean, there's no harm if you are working in the intake queue per se. What you will miss is your applicants that have started since you've gone live, and who are now in the engagement queue only. So, that your options would be to work out of both and still work your older applications through intake. And you can do that, but we've migrated those folks into the engagement queue so that you just have one place to work to help make it more seamless. And so you're not bouncing between folks and less likely for somebody to fall through the cracks.
That is super helpful. Oh, sorry, Andy, go for it.
No, I was just gonna say, I'll chime in really quickly. The vast majority of the volunteers that are now going to apply to your sites are going to go through the intake queue so quickly with this new application process that you're probably going to miss them, right? Like they're just going to go almost right into the engagement queue. And honestly, like anything that you would need to do to support them is going to be after they complete the intake steps anyway. And so you're not even going to really be needing to work in intake. The BIPC will support them while they're in intake and those steps, and then once they're in the engagement queue, then they're yours to be reaching out to.
That is perfect. I really appreciate you guys clarifying that. It makes a lot of sense that, we still see PVs and intake, the folks that came in the door prior to RIV going live, but now that RIV has gone live, any new person that comes in is going to be popping right into that engagement queue. So I think that really just emphasizes the need to switch our processes to working within the engagement queue. And I have to say too, I've been working through the process in the deployed sites, learning the system, and it's actually gone quicker for me, the process, working through the engagement queue, than working through intake. And so I'm kind of tentatively excited that once I get a little bit more comfortable with this process and this system, that it's just going to be an even more an easier system to work through. So I just appreciate you guys. I know Team EQ. I'm really excited about the EQ. So I'll be sharing tips and tricks again as we get a little bit more familiar with the system and have some best practices to share with the OCONUS teams.
All right. Thanks, Morgan. What other questions do you have? All right. If there are no more questions, we won't hold everyone, and we'll let you go on with your day. So I'll just give it a couple more moments just in case you have anything. All right. Well, with that, on behalf of the team, we just want to thank you for spending several weeks with us on these trainings and these Q&As. We hope that, as you continue to, get used to the system, that you are finding ways to use it for it to be beneficial. And it's just been a pleasure working with you all. So thank you. And with that, I hope that you all have a wonderful rest of your day. I can see Morgan and Jessica off mute, so I think they both have probably something to say. So over to you, Morgan.
Thanks, Linda. I just want to say thank you so much, and the rest of the VS team who has really helped guide this for us. I know that there was a lot of thought and intention that went into making this specific to OCONUS as much as possible, because the training was a bit different for our CONUS regional VS teams, and you guys were just really phenomenal at quickly learning the nuances that we have OCONUS and already going through and creating resources and trying to track down leads for these kind of more nuanced OCONUS situations. So I really appreciate you guys and all the time and resources that you have created for us. And then I also really want to thank the Europe VSMEs. You guys have been doing an incredible job of putting together, taking all these questions, putting together lots of Q&As for us, doing a lot of stuff in the back end process of Volunteer Connection to get it ready for go live. And I know that they'll continue to be great partners. As we continue to work in the system, I know that I feel like every time I jump into the EQ, another question pops up. So there might be more things that come up. Keep going to your VSMEs. Kate and I are still working in this new system with you all as well. So if there are questions that we need to filter to Linda and the rest of the VS team, we'll continue to track down those answers for you as well. So anyways, I appreciate you guys hanging in there with us. I know that this was a big change, but I'm just really excited that we made it. And we'll continue to be here supporting you all.
And I basically just wanted to echo what Morgan said, but also just to say that we really do appreciate you doing the different sessions for the OCONUS times and the reduced number of sessions so that it takes our staff, our paid staff away a little bit, and our volunteer staff as well, away a little bit less by putting them into those sessions. I know you guys had to rework some of your material to try to get it all in there. But this is something that we're all kind of going through together over here, and it really helps whenever we know that there's that next session or that next question and answers that we can kind of all get on the same page and feed off of each other to get that information live versus through an email. It's a lot more helpful.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. And I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day. And again, you all know if you do have any questions, make sure to reach out to your VS SMEs, and we'll make sure that we can help getting those answered. So have a great day, everyone. Thanks.
Thanks all.